My recommendation is that you always take 30 seconds to a minute at least and look over the drawings, think about what the process, and start developing your strategies. We won't take points off for spelling. When you do the text, you can put your name, you could put your company, pretty much anything in there. So just kind of looking at how this is going to operate, we start to get an idea of the functionality. One of the things that jumps out reading through their description is the 2024, and I have the just a quick reference is McMaster car for material, and you have the descriptions. Oh, let's see, that's the 6061. I need the 2024. All right, so you can get the yield strength, 47,000. Quick description is aircraft design, high strength to weight, and I think the issue is the corrosion resistance to the 7075. The main thing here is that we have to go, I've picked 1.75" by 1.75" because the material, well, we'll get to that, is about 1.75". So just comparatively, about a foot is 101, and we come over to the 6061 and we lose a little bit of the yield strength, which, looking at this part, if that 12,000 psi makes a difference, we probably shouldn't be making this out of aluminum anyway. So we're at the 1.75", and looking at a piece of 1.75", we're at $43. So probably, well, I can just say 40% of the cost of the 2024. So if you have a specification you have to meet, or that's what's required, then great. The other thing is the availability of different sizes. So the 1.75", we could actually go down to 1.25", because the base is 30 millimeters. We would be at 28.59, which is 30% of the cost. So always kind of taking those things into consideration. Now, looking at the drawing, let's activate the sketch tool here, and I'm on my touch screen, so I'm going to try not to mess this up too bad. Is we have the 1940, and it tells us that there is a radius of 12 in two places. Well, I count 1, 2, 3, and 4. So looking at this, let's just say that those are radius of 12 in 4 places, but if we bring this across and this down, that one's pretty well centered, where this one is a little bit lower. So we have the 138, and if it's on center with the 12, it's just a little bit below center on that one. So I'm not sure why the 160 is a reference dimension. They're giving us 7.96, 7 times 20 is the spacing, for a total of 140. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you always have to pay attention. Are they giving you spacing or total quantity? So 7 by 20 millimeter on the spacing. And what's the diameter? So, again, have a few things to resolve there. So we're 8 millimeters on the height, 30 and 10 millimeters on the other legs, so I can't really use a thin feature there. The 30 millimeters this way, but we don't really have an overall this way. So I'm going to go with 40, and that will be good enough. And if not, we'll change it. So anything that that pops up that is not in the design or spelled out, you'll be able to make the adjustment. You're the designer, you make the decision. So I've got a little scale here that I'm holding up to the screen, which it doesn't say do not scale the drawing, but as a general practice, you don't want to scale the drawing. So if that's 8 millimeters, those look like they're about 6 millimeters. So, it just depends on how we're going to mount this and what those holes are really going to do. All right, so we got the 10 millimeter two places. We'll get into it and see if there's anything else. So let's clear the drawing and I'll jump back into it. All right, so for the speed run or the fast, so you pay attention, listen to the terminology, see the techniques. We're going to draw, and actually I need to square that off. We'll use the fillet. We're going to draw a rectangle this way and extrude back, or we could draw the rectangle this way and extrude up, or we could use the whole thing and extrude to the first level and then draw the rectangle and extrude to the next level. All right, all of those are perfectly viable. It depends on what you see. For the actual instruction, what I'm going to have you do is we're going to, and I didn't want to do that. So one nice thing about one of the reasons I'm using the 2016 Kindle version is that the zoom is a lot better than the 2019 version when I don't get too carried away with the sketch. So let's make sure that we're sketching. So if I draw this outside profile with the 8 and the 10 and extrude it over the 160, then I can get a majority of that geometry, but I want you to see different ways to plan your approach. All right, so that pretty much takes care of our first piece. We'll name it base. We're not going to be concerned about part numbers or any of that just yet. So the exploded view, when we get to the assembly, exploded views live in the assembly. They do not live in the drawing. So we will be able to activate and use the exploded view out of the default configuration in the assembly. Our 3 parts for the crank, the follower, and I tried to sketch again. So let's zoom that up again and back. So pretty much we're going to draw this shape, but we have the crank, the follower, and the coupler, and they're all being shown as 2024 aluminum. The crank is 50 millimeters, follower 80, and 160 on the coupler. So what that tells me is I'm going to be able to draw one of these, model the part, and then go in and do a save as, and just change dimensions if everything else is staying the same. Pretty much the same with our pins. We have the short pin, and if we do this as a revolve, then I will be, and I forgot to do that again, so getting used to this, the sketching and clearing it is going to be interesting. All right, so into the sketch. So when we look at the revolve, we're going with this geometry, which is basically looking at this quarter section. Let's see, I think we want to do it that way. All right, so looking at the quarter section that way. And since this is the same, we'll be able to do the save as. So anything we can do to be more efficient, manage our geometry. Looking at those, I didn't see any missing dimensions. Radius of 5. And we'll probably end up drawing these, creating the models pretty much the same way for both. I will just go a little bit slower on the instruction video. And the pins, may try the wedding cake approach and stack these up. And then for the instruction, we'll do the revolve. So anyway, just kind of a quick overview, things to look at. Anything that jumps out at you that could be an issue, now's the time to start thinking about it.